I'm Bianca Casanova Anderson, and over the last 3 years, I've had the pleasure of working alongside ProInspire's founder, Monisha Kapila, as co-CEO.
As Bianca shared, I'm Monisha. I serve as founder and the outgoing co-CEO at ProInspire. Back in April 2021, we embarked on our shared leadership journey. It's hard to believe that these are our final days. It has been such a transformative journey for me. As I transitioned from my role as co-CEO, Bianca and I thought it was important to reflect on our learnings. In our first month, we did a video sharing our hopes for this partnership, and so it feels really full circle to be here at the end sharing some of our reflections.
Yeah, it has been really beautiful. And I think one of the first questions we wanted to explore together is how have we individually grown as leaders throughout this journey? And it just takes me back to how we got to this journey. And part of that first conversation was naming our identities. And I know for me, I talked a lot about being a Black woman who had a past workplace experience that really led to some burnout, and not wanting to experience that in my role here at ProInspire. So when I think about not only just having that conversation, right, talking about different aspects of our identity, also our, racial identities and how that may impact the way we experience the role, but then also saying, so what would we do about it, right? What might we do differently? And one of the things that I learned from working with you is that I get to have someone who can be a mirror to help me see myself, to see what's working, what's not, what strengths I have, but also what needs I may have as a leader. And I know that before we led, I didn't really know what I needed. And through leading alongside you, Monisha, not only have I gained more confidence, I've gained more agency and being able to know and name my needs, sharing them with others like our co-chairs on the board.
Yeah. When we first started talking about moving into co-leadership, it was 2020. You joined our team in January of that year, and then in March, everything changed with COVID. And I remember by middle of the year, I was talking to our board chair. We'd been doing succession planning for the past couple of years, and I shared, I don't know how much longer I can hold this role. It was really challenging to be leading an organization. My kids were schooling from home. My partner was a frontline worker. And I was feeling like leadership as a sole CEO was too challenging. And when the opportunity was named of what would it look like to be in shared leadership, I was like, I've never thought about that as something that I could be part of. And the fact that you were interested in doing it with me was like so exciting. It felt like a new role. It really energized me. And it really is what has sustained me and been such a critical part of my own individual growth. And I think what you taught me was just the beauty and potential of sharing responsibility. For me, that has meant less stress, more time, and actually more confidence as a leader because I've experienced that by working together, ProInspire is better and stronger. Some of the decisions we've made about shifting our compensation structure, and you really brought in the philosophy that even when people are new to the organization, we should be starting at market-based compensation, not something that people work towards. And to be able to do that in partnership really gave me the confidence that this is something that we could continue in the organization.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for naming that piece, confidence, right? Having, I don't know, a comrade, a confidant that helps to support with confidence, because when I think about what's been most surprising for me in our partnership, it's been the confidence that I have seen, but in relation to working with external partners, in particular, like working with philanthropy. I joined after having an ED role where I didn't really know how to have conversations with funders about our work. And I felt it to be often really isolating as the, primary fundraiser, the person who held so much of that responsibility. And in working with you, not only were we able to share that responsibility, but your approach to it really being so people centered. Let's get to know one another. Let's take our time and build relationships. That helped me have a little bit more fun with the fundraising and resourcing of the organization, which isn't often, a fun thing to talk about in leadership. But you made fundraising and networking a lot of fun.
It's so funny because I think about really just how one of the things that surprised me by being in this co-leadership with you is that it's more fun and the ways of being around leadership are different, that it is less isolating. And I've experienced just a decreased burden that we're still holding accountability as leaders of this organization. We're still grappling with challenges both internally and externally, but I wasn't expecting how much ease would come from doing it in partnership. So I think even in like the good times and some of the challenging times, we've been able to laugh and smile because we know that we're really working through it together.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, having that, it's not you versus me, but us versus the problem, right? Like that has been a really helpful frame that I think we've held throughout the co-CEO partnership. And I know for me early on with some of the challenges, I wanted to ensure that I was being understood, that not only am I communicating the needs that I have as a leader, but sharing them in a way that allows space for us to be different, coming into the role just in the different ways that your history with Pro Inspire, me being newer to Pro Inspire, there were things I remember just around like how we manage the board, right? Where are those materials? How do I know to do this? And wanting to talk with you about, well, let's, write some of it down, right? Because so much of it had been kind of maybe intuitive. So let's write it down, but let's also look for where there's room to say it doesn't have to look one way, right? And I think feeling understood as far as what my needs are, what my approach is in co-leadership, and knowing we can get to a goal and do it differently has been, one of the ways we were able to navigate some of the challenges. I wonder for you, what's been challenging?
Yeah, I think one of the challenges for me was that we moved into co-leadership at the same time as we grew the team. So in 2020, we had 5 staff members. We had really shrunk during COVID intentionally to try to navigate some of the financial challenges. And then as we saw our work was growing, we realized we had to hire. And so since then, we've now grown to 15 team members. And so most of the people who work at ProInspire only know the organization as a co-led organization. But so much of what we've been doing in these last 3 years is building infrastructure, thinking about what are the internal systems, the people and culture, the finance and operations, the programmatic ways that we do our work. And I think what's been challenging for me is trying to navigate both how do I operate differently as a leader in this co-partnership, as well as what do we need as an organization to do differently because we have grown so much.
Yeah, yeah. That navigating challenges and the infrastructure needed to navigate the challenges is one of my big takeaways as well. We started this as a succession planning model and then did some research and we're like, hey, we actually want to keep shared leadership for the organization, or at least through my tenure. But in that, I don't know if I knew early on how much infrastructure it takes to not only support one executive director, but two, right? Going back to the differences in needs, or, having things codified. So really thinking about the infrastructure of an organization to be able to support shared leadership. And then as well, I would be remiss if I did not mention how important coaching, having wise counsel, or just like blocks of time where we can make meaning together and do planning together, how essential all of those things have been. Our coaching individually and collectively, I think has helped us find and build alignment.
Yeah. I think some of the lessons that I've learned through this, particularly as more organizations are thinking about shared leadership, is that it really is a full organizational transformation. As you mentioned, we initially approached this as succession planning. And so we're really thinking about it as moving from a sole CEO to co-CEOs as part of succession. But it actually has meant really shifting our staff and our structure. We looked at, who is responsible for different parts of the organization, different functions, people management responsibilities. We learned from the first year that, for example, our chief operating officer, who's on the executive team, should actually report to both of us. And so there's so many changes. And one of the things that we heard from our board of directors was they wish they had actually gotten coaching, in addition to making sure that we had coaching, because it also involved changes for the board and how do you support two co-leaders. I think the other lesson for me is really around humility in leadership, that so much of being in shared roles is your partners. And the beauty of that means that you have each other's backs, you have someone to make meaning together and to really think through how to approach different challenges. But it also means that you come at things not being sort of tied to your own way and really figuring out our way. And so that's, I think, a lesson for me that I think we both have really held humility and leadership. And it's important for other leaders who are thinking about this, about how they can approach the way they lead, to be humble, to be looking for compromise, and to think about what it's like to find shared ways.
Yeah, yeah. Perspective taking, being able to take someone else's perspective or see their perspective and then find a third way, right? Is so essential. So thank you for naming that. So as we're coming to the end, the last few days of our leadership together, I'm curious, what are you gonna miss about our friendship and about this leadership journey together?
Well, I would say my last 3 years working with you as co-CEO have been the most transformative of the 15 years I've been at Pro Inspire. And I'm going to miss like the fun we have together. I look forward to Mondays because Monday mornings we have our executive team meeting, and I know that I get to see you and I get to see our teammates that day. And I look forward to Fridays when we pause and we reflect and do some meeting making. I really have learned so much from you, how you hold strategic vision, how you show up authentically, and the way you hold relationships with our team is something that I feel like I've continued to learn from you. And I often joke that, part of why we work so well together is because we're both Capricorns and we have the same MBTI. But it really has just brought a lot of joy to me to be in this partnership with you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I similarly, at first, when we first started this, I could never even imagine doing co-leadership with someone else because it has been that fulfilling of a journey, and your optimism, being able to see, every challenge as an opportunity or for either learning or an opportunity to do something different. So really you engage in life just with this curiosity and optimism that I want to hold forever. And when I think about the lesson of not only engaging with optimism, but staying kind of tenacious, right? Getting after it, staying, having some rigor and resilience behind the work. That has been really motivating for me to see you show up joyfully and show up consistently. I'm also just going to miss our time together, just being able to sit and talk through ideas. That will definitely be something that continues, even as our next incoming co-CEO comes on, just having time together where we can relate as people, as humans, as women of color in this work. Because even if though you won't be a part of Pro Inspire formally, you're always going to be a part of Pro Inspire. And the work Pro Inspire does is even bigger than one organization, right? It's about our ecosystem partners. So I look forward to the friendship continuing to evolve.
Well, and I am so excited about where Pro Inspire is going and the strategic vision that our entire team has for our work. I am so confident in you and our full organization. I just, as you move into this new formation, I hope you continue to trust your instincts and know that I trust you and the leadership to decide whatever is needed for Pro Inspire in the future. This organization could grow, shrink, or sunset, and I will have the utmost confidence in your leadership. I just want to thank you for how you have shaped me in Pro Inspire. I feel ready to leave this role knowing that you are here and will continue to shape Pro Inspire to have even greater impact than I could have imagined.
Mm. Thank you, Monisha. Thank you for not gatekeeping, but opening possibility, for believing in me, for believing in us. It means so much to hear you say that. No matter what's next for Pro Inspire, you believe in us. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
As founder of Pro Inspire, I couldn't be more proud of the organization, where we have been, and where we are going. I am really excited for this next chapter. As a multiracial team with Black women leading the organization focused on racial equity and justice, I know we are poised for even greater impact in the social sector. But there are many challenges ahead. We know that when a founder leaves, organizations can face funding dips, and the support for BIPOC-led organizations is slowing down. That's why it's really important to me that we continue to support Pro Inspire, our leadership, and the vision of our team into this next chapter. I hope you'll join me in supporting the Founders Fund to ensure that Pro Inspire's vision continues for the next 15 years. Thank you.